Few musicians are as inseparable from the sound of rock and roll as Keith Richards. For more than 60 years, he's been the heartbeat of the Rolling Stones, the riff master, the outlaw poet with a cigarette in one hand and a Telecaster in the other. He's written riffs that shaped generations. Jumpin' Jack Flash, Start Me Up, Gimme Shelter. Each one fierce, raw, and alive. But even legends have their ghosts. And for Richards, one of those ghosts comes from a song the world worships, a song he still says he's never truly mastered. That song is I Can't Get No Satisfaction. The track that defined the Rolling Stones. The riff that changed rock music forever. And the song Keith Richards admits he's always struggled to play right. It all began in a hotel room in Clearwater, Florida, 1965. Keith Richards woke up half asleep, half dreaming, with a guitar in his lap and a cassette recorder by his bed. He hit record, mumbled a few words, and strummed a 3-note riff before drifting back into sleep. When he woke the next morning, the tape was still spinning, filled with 2 minutes of that riff, followed by 40 minutes of snoring. That little moment of sleepy inspiration became the most famous guitar riff in rock history. But even as it propelled the Rolling Stones to global fame, Richards felt uneasy about it. The riff, he said, was too perfect, too simple. And that simplicity became his biggest enemy. Satisfaction sounds effortless. 3 notes, raw fuzz, a hypnotic rhythm. It feels like something anyone could play. And that's exactly what frustrates Keith Richards. He once told Rolling Stone magazine, "It's so simple that it's impossible. Everybody plays it wrong, when including me half the time." For him, the magic of satisfaction isn't in the notes, but in the swing. That strange, loose pulse that only appears when he's right on the edge between chaos and control. Some nights, the groove catches fire. Other nights, it slips away. And Keith says that's the curse of that riff. You can't force it. To most guitarists, it's easy. To Keith Richards, it's haunted. Part of the problem lies in the sound itself. That biting, distorted tone that makes Satisfaction explode from the speakers wasn't born from a fancy amp. It came from a Gibson Maestro fuzz box, one of the first of its kind. Richards had originally planned for a horn section to play the riff. The fuzz was meant to be a placeholder, just a demo. But when producer Andrew Loog Oldham heard it, he knew instantly, this was the sound. When the song hit the airwaves, that fuzzy, angry tone defined a new era. The riff became rebellion in musical form. But live? It was nearly impossible to recreate. Richards spent years swapping guitars, amps, pedals, trying to chase that exact balance between distortion and rhythm. No matter what he tried, it never sounded quite the same. Mick Jagger saw it differently. To him, Satisfaction was more about attitude than accuracy. He once laughed, "Keith worries about the riff too much. To me, it's not about getting it perfect. It's about shouting it at the world." That was the heart of their dynamic. Keith wanted groove and feel. Mick wanted impact. Together, they created the song that defined their generation. But for Keith, perfection was still missing. A ghost forever lurking behind those 3 notes. As the Rolling Stones became the biggest band in the world, Satisfaction became both a blessing and a burden. Every show demanded it. Every crowd waited for that opening riff. And Richards dreaded it. He once admitted, "You can't mess up Satisfaction, but somehow I always managed to." Sometimes the timing felt too tight, sometimes too loose. Sometimes it was too loud, too clean, too polite. He could play it 1,000 times, and it would sound different each night. The irony wasn't lost on him. The song that brought him eternal fame was also the one that refused to obey him. What Keith struggled with wasn't technical skill, it was something deeper. He wanted to capture the feeling of that first sleepy hotel riff, that half-conscious, half-dreaming state where music seemed to appear out of nowhere. But you can't recreate an accident. You can only chase it. And that's what Keith has been doing for more than half a century, chasing that same reckless spark of inspiration that birthed Satisfaction. Over the years, the riff has been analyzed, studied, even worshipped. But to Keith, it's still just a mistake that stuck. He once reflected, It's funny. You spend your whole life trying to find that one riff. I found mine by accident, and I've been trying to play it right ever since. There's a quiet truth in that. Sometimes the greatest creations aren't about mastery, but imperfection. It's the struggle that keeps the music alive. And satisfaction, for Keith Richards, has never stopped being alive. Unpredictable, stubborn, and beautifully flawed. After all these years, Keith still smiles when he talks about it. He says the riff still surprises him, still refuses to behave. Maybe that's what makes it special. Because in that imperfection, in that eternal struggle between chaos and control, lies the soul of the Rolling Stones. And maybe that's why Keith Richards will never stop trying to play it, just a little better than the night before.